America, my name is Osei-Frimpong. I come to you live every Thursday. Today I'm going to come to you on Tuesday because it's very important that you do not kick your children out of the house, even if they turn 18. If you kick your children out of the house, it means you have failed as a parent, which is okay. It's very hard to be a parent. The world is very complicated. It's possible that you took your eye off the ball in crucial years and now you've raised a child who is both not quite functional in the outside world nor quite ruly inside of your house, and the easiest thing is just to jettison them off and say, well, the world will teach them, the world will raise them because I've obviously failed, right? So that is a form of cutting your losses, to kick them out and expect the world to raise them. Some people make their kids go to the military and expect the military to raise their kids because they failed in raising their kids, or boarding school to raise their kids because they failed in raising their kids. But all of these are just forms of failure of raising kids, that will sound harsh if you're not actually as sensitive as I am. I understand it's very hard. It's easy to fail. But especially because everyone's lying to you, and if you're black, everybody's lying to you. But you just kicking them out at 18 is just, is you failed as a parent, which is, you haven't been watching this for the last few years, so I can understand why you failed as a parent. But you failed as a parent, and you don't want to actually wake up and look at your failure. You want the world to deal with your failure. So if you have a daughter, you can't be surprised when she's, shacking up with some guy who doesn't kick her out, or she ends up that way, and you've sent her that way because you kicked her out. Or if you have a son, you're just hoping that the world will somehow provide for them, which might work if they're white. If they're black, it's not going to work, and you are just setting them up for even more varieties of degradation, right? So don't kick out your child just because you screwed up raising your child. I understand that you screwed up raising your child. You need to understand that you screwed up raising your child, and that's why you want to kick your child out, right? So what do you do instead? Well, if you need money, you can talk about how we work together to support the household. If you don't need money and you just want them to work, that's a little bit of a more ticklish reason. The nightmare scenario is you've just raised a wastrel, who doesn't actually have any place in outside of society, nor have any drive to make a place for themselves in outside of society. And so, but that was your fault. I don't know. I have 3 kids. You have to have a plan for your kids. If you do not have a plan for your kids, if you expect the plan to come from them, or you expect society does have design on your kids, but it's not good. Society wants to use them up and spit them out and make them disposable. And if they identify with that, they might not want to actually be a part of society. Right? So if you're not training them to wield power in society, and all of they see is a society that wants to wield power over them, they might just check out. And now you are the parent of a checked out kid. So you need to be teaching your kids how to wield power in society aggressively from the age of 6. And if you're not serious about that, you can't be surprised when they look at the monsters out there outside of the house and they don't want to participate in that. And they look at, and inside of the house, they're not doing much because you can't really make money or make too many moves from inside of the house. So you're looking at your wastrel kid, trying to figure out how your wastrel kid became a wastrel, when really you screwed up from ages 6 to 15, not turning your kid into not necessarily a predator, but an omnivore. I don't think you need to teach you should have been training your kid for the fight, and you didn't, and now your kid doesn't know how to fight or sees the fight and doesn't want to prepare for it. You screwed up, and now you're taking it out on your kid. So do better, and instead you should acknowledge, well, I didn't prepare you for the adult world, and now we are going to figure out together, although you're 18, what that means. A lot of people screw this up with their daughters because they low-key think that some man's going to save them. White people do. Black people, not so much. But, and they screw it up for their sons because they low-key think that, well, he'll get a good job no matter what. And this again, white people think that. Black people, I don't know. If you think that, you're just stupid. All right, so do not kick your kid out of the house at 18. That is not how winners win. In the set I see people buying their kids' houses at 18. I remember there's a guy, and he's famous now, so I'm not going to say his name. But I went to college with him, and I just remember being shocked that we were at Berkeley together, and his parents bought him a condo in Berkeley. This is 1995 and 96. They bought him a condo in Berkeley. And the parents were like, well, the parents just kind of assumed it would be a good investment. And now, yeah, guess what? It was a great investment because like buying a condo in Berkeley in 96, that's only appreciated in the intervening decades. And like, yeah, so parents who are winning are buying their kids' assets. Parents who are losing are kicking their kids out at 18, right? So you have to understand what you need to do is if I've raised a wastrel, if I've raised a useless son or daughter who doesn't know how to work and has attitude at home, that's my fault. I did that, right? I screwed up, and now I need to make my screw up whole. I can't just kick them out and expect the world to make my screw up whole. I didn't have a plan for my kid, and now my kid doesn't have a plan for their life. And they look outside of their life and they see predators whose parents did have a plan for them, and they don't want to participate in that either, right? So best thing is you take this video as an early warning that if you have a young child, you need to start grooming. You need to have a plan for them now. Doesn't mean that your plan is actually going to come into fruition necessarily, but it will give them the skills to make a substantive plan on their own and not just kind of assume that the world will provide. That nonsense is for like middle-class white people. Like Black people, if you're watching this, you need to have a plan for your child. You need to have your child to have the fight. Like I said, they don't have to be necessarily a carnivorous predator, but they should be an omnivore. You need to be raising an omnivore because like they're gonna have to fight for this world. And if they're not prepared to fight in a world that expects them to fight, they're not going to be prepared for the world, or they'll end up like, shacking up or selling their butt to someone else. And you don't want that either. So you need to start grooming your kid to fight and be in a productive way in this world so that you're not even thinking about kicking them out at 18. And if for some reason you're in a position where like you raised a kid who doesn't know how to fight and you have to kick them out you feel called to kick them out at 18, understand that you did that. You did that through your like ill-informed parenting. And I know it's very busy. You thought that like you didn't have to actually parent from 7 to 18. Maybe you just provided money, or maybe you just worked hard, or maybe you're just too busy. But now these are the wages. You raised a kid who's worthless. But that was you who did it. You didn't have a plan for them. You expected the plan to come by magic. Nothing about parenting is by magic, especially in the modern world where things are complicated. Like everything's very complicated and specialized. Everything's very complicated and specialized. So you're sending your kid out there in the world who like against people with generational knowledge and generational culture. And you expect them to figure it out on their own. That's irresponsible. So you screwed up and now you're blaming the kid for not having direction, or having direction, but looking out and seeing the competition and getting scared and kind of running back, right? You should have been grooming them for the last 15 years since they're 3 for this fight. But now you just want to kick them out and say it's your responsibility. Well, you're grown now. Right? No, that's irresponsible. So if you have little kids, listen to me seriously. You need to come up with a plan for your kids. You need to come up with a plan for the kids, and you need to be a little bit hard on them with direction. Not hard as in because you're throwing your weight around, hard for direction. They need to be competent in knowing how to do stuff. Because once they learn how to do some stuff, they'll learn how to do other things that they need how to do. But your kid needs to learn how to do stuff, and they need to be able to like fight through harder challenges. And that starts young. That skill starts young. And they need to be able to like make hard decisions, right? So like people assume that I'm hard on my kids. Yes, I am hard on my kids. Yes, I am hard on my kids. My kids are also awesome and they love me, but they know that like I'm preparing them for the adults that they're going to have to be. And like I said, I don't know how long I last. So when I prepare them, like I prepare them with these videos, including that say like if I stroke out or have a heart attack or catch a bullet or something like that, they'll have enough like starting today of culture so that like they won't be screw ups in their lives or they won't be confused about the fight. Like I said, some people raise their kids to be super predators. I don't know if you need to do that because I don't know if you should teach them to snack on other to snack on other kids. But like you should raise them to be omnivores. like you need to raise them to be able to run over people if that's necessary, and like they need to have skills to do hard things. And if they have skills to do hard things when they become 18, it's not going to be an issue. Right? So if you're people who are kicking their kids out at 18 aren't winning. Like people who are preparing their kids from 6 on to like 26 are winning. I remember I saw an interview with Mary Elizabeth Weinstein. She's an actress, a regular generic actress. She was like, well, I never got caught. She started when she was like a 12-year-old. And she was like, well, I never got caught in that Hollywood kind of sex trafficking harassment thing because my mom was pretty much like around me from like age 12 to age like 24. She said 24. She was a child actress. She said her mom was like going to auditions and hooking her up and like making sure keeping her safe until she was 24. By that time, she was like way a millionaire. It doesn't matter. Like that is parenting who took their job seriously. And if you're not, if you don't have a plan for your kids, if you think the plan will come naturally from the kid or from society or like the school, like you're just not serious about this job. You're ready to screw up the biggest thing that like you're charged with doing. One of the biggest things you're charged with doing. You're ready to screw it up or you're leaving it up to fate, which I think is irresponsible. Right? So if you want to kick your kid out at 18, you've already failed parenting, you can get a C. You could instead of getting an F, you can get a C if you don't kick them out and work together and come up with a plan to make them a functional part of the world. Right? If you actually want an A or a B, you need to start earlier and you need to understand that it's you, not the kid. If you raised an 18-year-old kid who doesn't know their way, it's you, parent. It's you. You took your eye off the ball at 6 or 7. I tell everybody, but especially black people, I just expect everything my kid is going to know that's worth knowing is going to be taught by me. School is a place they go to buy me time to read up on what I should teach them when they get home. I assume that every single thing that they know that's worth knowing is going to be either organized, like directed by me, or just told to them by me. Either I'm going to put them in front, like individually in front of the teacher that's going to teach them like through private lessons, or I'm just going to tell them I happen to know a lot of things. So I have it in my favor. But if you just think that these institutions are going to take care of your kid, black people, if you think these schools going to teach your kid what they need to know, or these white teachers, or like these institutions are going to teach your kid what they need to know in order to make it in this world, like you're a fool. And you need to support me at www.funkyacademic.com so that I can keep giving you the quality of wisdom you need not to screw up your whole life or your kid's whole life. But outside of that, no. The world is very complicated. You need to be the one that's preparing them for it. These institutions will not do it. They will not do it for you. They're setting your kid up. They white institutions, and that's America. White institutions, and that's America, are not setting your kid up to actually claim power, real power. They're setting your kid up to just be confused about the world. And I don't understand. And you're confused about the world if you think sending them to that school, any school, even a black school, is going to give them the skills they need to actually make it. And with any sort of dignity. So that's the truth. If you want to kick your kids out at 18, then you need to admit that it's your fault. You take the L. And it's because you didn't prepare them to, like, with the quality of fight and knowledge to appreciate the world, like the fight in the world. Right? Because real parents who are winning are not kicking their kids out at 18. Real parents who are winning are buying their kids like houses, cars. That's they're setting them up to win. And they're preparing them from before 18 to win. And they're not talking about, well, I just want them to be happy. Because that just means that you just want them to find someone else to take care of them. No, you need to set them up for the fight, or you're not actually serious about this parenting. You expect someone else to do your parenting for you, to raise your kid for you. And that might be fine in a society that, like, I don't know, likes your kid. But Black people who are watching this, and most people who are watching this, society does not give a hot damn about your kid. They want to snack on your kid. Right. So there are a lot of societal reasons why your kid's failing to flourish at 18. But just know that you need to anticipate these reasons and do your job. Do your job and prepare them for the fight. And that it is a fight. And that they need to know how to do hard things, build hard things. And if need be, run over other people to do that. And run over themselves. They need to be able to be hard on themselves. This is why, I do a lot of sports and music with my kids, just because, like, that's where I learned how to be hard on myself. I don't know everything. I'm not the perfect parent in terms of, like, how to raise, like, someone who's prepared for this world, but I'm pretty good. And be hard on them. And expect them, not in a productive way. And you have to spend a lot of time with them. You can't just give them a task and run away. Like, you put hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours. Everything you pretty much do is for their development. And you figure out a way. And then that way, in 20 years, you're not bailing them out of rehab or jail or out of a bad marriage or out of, like, they have, like, judgment. And that way you won't have to worry about your grandkids. Right? Because a lot of people might do it fine for their kids, but they might screw it up or get confused, and then it turns out that their grandkids are useless. And you don't want to raise useless grandkids either. So, like, with a little bit more intention, do your job from 6 to, like, 16, and then you won't have to worry about it. Right? You won't have to worry about it. And build the kind of institutions. And just don't expect that the institutions as they're given are going to teach your child a damn thing. Like, just expect that everything that they need to know, that they're going to have to know, is going to learn from you. They're going to learn from you because you taught them. Right? And same with money, right? Like, don't expect society to offer your kid a job. Like, one reason I do this is because I know when my kids are 20 and they're going to need a summer job or whatever, you might see them on this site, doing their videos. Because I talk to them like I talk to you, so they'll be pretty smart. This is a family business. If I stroke out and die, you're going to see my daughters or my son in this spot behind this curtain trying to clarify your life. So this is going to be my legacy for them. And so don't if you kick your kids out of 18, you've lost, but you're just too proud to admit that it's you who've lost. And you should be ashamed of yourself. But or you could just admit you want to kick your kid out at 18 because you took your eye off the ball. You zigged when you should have zagged. Maybe you shouldn't have gotten that divorce. Maybe a lot of things you lead to an 18-year-old who is useless. Maybe you should have been more involved in getting them in more activities, more hard. Shouldn't let them quit things when they were 7 or 8. So now they're 18 and they don't know how to do hard things. So thank you for your time. I hope this has been educational. If you appreciate what I do, you know what to do. Go to www.funkyacademic.com. Just know that people who are kicking their kids out at 18 are not winning. They are not winning, and they're too proud to admit that they've lost. All right. Thank you for your time, and I will see you on Thursday to talk about something different.